Andreas de Leon, welcome to this event in Boston.
Thank you very much, Alistair. I'm going to share my screen. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me here. Okay, well, I'm Andres de Leon. I'm the CEO of Hyperloop. I've been with the company more than 5 years. I was the previous COO. And, let me explain you a little bit about how do we see the Hyperloop and what we have been doing until now. So basically, our vision is that we have a once in a generation opportunity targeting the next giant wave for transportation. So we are trying to change the way we travel through an asset-light platform, okay? And empowering a complete ecosystem, a complete Hyperloop ecosystem, our product system. So for us, passenger transportation is ready for disruption. Okay, I think that it's clear that we have problems with auto, with gridlock. We have problems with the congestion at the airports. We have problems. Rail has tried to evolve with high-speed rail, and definitely they have solved some of the problems of connection between cities in a, I would say, quite green way. But the problem also is about the speed. No, you have a speed limit. If you wanna go faster, you need to use a lot of energy. So it hasn't been a good solution. So here we are, we are in a situation that a completely outdated infrastructure impacts the quality of life because of its inefficiency, the noise pollution, the time that we lost, impacts also the economy. The air pollution is not free, it has a cost, and affects the total cost of air pollution in the UA in 2016 has been calculated like 66.7 billion, okay? And also we have a transportation system that in generally, especially land transportation, rely on public subsidies. Germany used more than 22 billion a year for subsidies in his rail system. And of course, the cost of congestion, when you are wasting your time, also that time is money. And at the end, everything is. But even more important than that, the current mode of transportation impacts negatively the environment. We're talking about 8.8 billion tons. Transportation contributes 23% of the global CO2 emissions. Okay, we're talking about 4.8 million work days lost per year last year in 2000. And of course, the energy consumption. We are creating systems that are not energy efficient enough. It's not only about powering the system with alternative energy, it's also about creating systems that are fully efficient in the way that they are. So this is the situation. And with this situation, we in Hyperloop Transportation Technology, we thought that we had a huge opportunity to put together the interests of the governments, of the users, and of the environment, okay? So we are trying to create a system that is profitable, has a logical return of investment that allows private companies to fully develop the infrastructure without the need of public subsidies, change completely the passenger experience. So basically, we have an enjoyable experience when we travel, something that doesn't happen today. We love to arrive to destination, but nobody enjoy anymore, the experience of traveling. And it's sustainable. It's emissions free, and it's very, very conscious with the energy consumption. And that is our Blue Ocean strategy, to put all these three pillars together and create a solution that we believe that the Hyperloop is a high-speed capsule transportation system inside a low vacuum tube. So what is the Hyperloop? For the ones that doesn't know, let me make you a small video about
it. Imagine a capsule. Imagine a capsule that can carry people. Placed inside a depressurized tube, the air removed to eliminate resistance. Not traveling on rails, but actually levitating above them. Capable of reaching airplane speeds and beyond on the ground. This is a Hyperloop, and it is amazing. Even more amazing, at Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, we haven't been imagining, we've been building for the better part of 5 years. And amazing is where we started. We're transforming the passenger experience, putting comfort and safety at the center of everything we're doing. Our reimagined linear electric motor is powered by sustainable solar energy, propelling the capsule on a completely new, incredibly efficient passive levitation system. With these two breakthroughs, our system is capable of giving energy back to the grid. And when something didn't exist, we invented it. Introducing Vibranium, a composite material that monitors speed, capsule integrity, and atmospheric condition in real time, a new benchmark in passenger safety. And we're not done. Our team of over 800 strong, a worldwide intellectual ecosystem of thinkers and problem solvers, tackle each day with the humble goal of changing the world. With its speed and efficiency, the Hyperloop will rewrite the rules of travel and mobility. But that's just one side of the story. There's another side that will have a far greater impact. It's the side that redefines how we connect with one another. Where distant friends become neighbors, countries become neighborhoods. And everybody who inhabits this big, crazy world of ours grows a little closer together. Just imagine that.
So what defines this next era of human mobility? For us, we are trying to develop a system that is high speed, is efficient and profitable, is safe, is sustainable, and is frictionless and passenger-centric. So that are basically the main characteristics that we have tried to develop in the Hyperloop. Let's go one by one. Let's talk about the speed for a moment. Why speed is important? Everybody is obsessed about the speed. Probably it's not the most important thing, but everybody is obsessed about it. Speed is important because we break the limit of continental distance. Basically, we could go from city center to city center in almost all continents in no more than 4 hours, almost, okay? So what does it mean? We destroy the barrier, the psychological barrier today that has the high speed rate. When people travels and when you connect a city from city center in less than 2.5 hours, between 2.5 hours and 3 hours, Madrid-Barcelona, 600 kilometers, Barcelona-Paris, 900, people takes the train. But, then basically more than 3 hours, the people at the end goes to the airplane, okay? But also don't think only about the travels, think also about commuting. Imagine living 300 kilometers outside of the city center and being able to be in the city center every, in 20 minutes. So that will change drastically the way we think in how do we live. Or imagine, like Alistair was saying before, you live in Boston, you go to New York for dinner, and you come back to Boston later on. So that's really, really important. But of course, speed is important, but safety is a must. In safety, we have been lucky because Hyperloop by definition is a very safe system. You are in a closed environment, so you are immune to weather. You don't have the possibility of having external interactions with the track. That are most of the problems that you have normally today in high-speed rail. And of course, if you compare with airplane, if you have a problem, you are in the ground, you are there in the ground, okay? But in addition to that, we have been lucky because we didn't have a legacy. So we have been able to develop the Hyperloop without the legacy and with all the things that you would be developing a transportation system of the 21st century. Structural health monitoring, smart materials with sensors integrated to allow, a complete monitoring of the structural integrity and things like that, things that was not possible in the past, but now are possible for us. And of course, in this pandemic time, the safety starts with the health of the passenger. And on that, we were also lucky because at the end of the day, you think about it, Hyperloop is moving more or less like in every capsule, we are moving between 28 to 50 passengers. It's not, you have a problem of contamination, you are not going to contaminate 400 people in a plane or things like that. But even more important than that, from the beginning, we were working in trying to create a seamless experience. So we have biometric sensors, we have contactless automatic ticketing and security. We also work in the advanced air purification, in rapid disinfection. And this is not because we knew that this was going to happen, but we kind of knew, because on this crowd that we have people that are expert in different fields, that the risk was there. So one of the most important things of the Hyperloop is also to be profitable. And why is it important to be profitable? It's important to be profitable because this allows a rapid deployment of a quick deployment of the technology, and also that rely in private companies. If rely on public companies means that countries in Africa could have access to this technology. Here, just one data. In the last feasibility study that we did, Great Lakes, it has been a feasibility study that we conducted together with NOACA, the Department of Northeast Ohio, Department of Transportation of Northeast Ohio. Normally, when you have a land transportation system, you arrive to a ratio of benefit-cost ratio around 1.2, or 1.4 maximum. With more than 1.2, you are eligible for public funding. Here, we are talking about 2.26. To put this in perspective, you are talking that in 25 years, you recap the investment. That means that a private company could be interested in doing this without public subsidies. And to put it in perspective, the most efficient system in the Western world, that is in Spain, in Madrid, Barcelona, you are talking about 100 years for the return on investment. And of course, sustainability. You cannot develop a system in today's world without taking in consideration the sustainability. We produce more energy than we consume, and all the energy that we consume is based on the solar panels on top. So we can say that in terms of operation, we are a zero-emission transportation system. Okay, we have a technology developed in the 90s in Lawrence Livermore Lab that allow us to levitate without having to electrify the track. So reduce drastically the cost of the CapEx, and even more important, the cost of the OpEx and the consumption of energy. We are talking that the Hyperloop system is among the lowest emission transport option available, with under 20 grams per kilometer, okay? And, here you see a comparison with other systems that you are talking. But of course, sustainability is not only about CO2 emissions. Sustainability is about not creating an infrastructure that solves one problem and creates a lot of more. So we need to adapt the infrastructure to the terrain. So we have different opportunities. And one of the things that we do is that normally we go in pylons. And this is important because we don't cut the neighborhoods on two. We don't cut the countryside on two. We allow animals to go around our infrastructure. So we have been thinking also in integrating the Hyperloop in the middle of the cities, like a river. Like, in the Arctic times, in the past centuries, the river was the center of the city, and the life. And it was not dividing the city into, it was the center of the city. And that is kind of the concept that is behind our. And of course, we are trying to improve the passenger experience. We have been developed a lot in developing multi-uses space where different people, it's not about that we want to travel in business or we want to travel in tourism. No, we are completely different people when we are traveling with friends, when we are traveling with the family, when we are traveling for business, okay? And we have developed things like augmented windows, that is a multi-viewer system with motion tracking that allow you to have the experience that the same that if you would be seeing a window, but based on augmented reality and virtual reality. So also allow you to be able to see what is outside, or to see that you are in the middle of Jurassic Park. So this is about the Hyperloop. We have explained what's the problem. We have explained our approach to the solution. But one of the things that we are more proud, and Alistair was talking about that before, is how are we building? How are we building the Hyperloop? So HyperloopTT believes from the beginning that the only way to do this was in collaboration. When Elon made the white paper and he published it, and he said that he had no time to develop it, we were part of an incubator funded by NASA and Gibran Institute to build companies in a completely different way. To build companies using crowdsourcing means people working in exchange of stock options. So at that time, we put an exchange of equity of the project. We put the project in our platform we immediately have 200 people around that wanted to collaborate on that. And just to make the long story short, today we've got more than 800 contributors around the world collaborating in exchange of equity. We have more than 50 companies, and we have defined a completely new way of building companies. Harvard Business School has defined it like the new way of building companies of the 21st century. And when the challenge is big, and you cannot do everything by yourself, you need radical collaboration. So experts, people from all the other fields, at the end we are bringing visionary people together. Here you see some of the samples of the 50 companies that has been collaborated with us, and you have companies of all kind of companies. You have Munich Re, that is the biggest reinsurance company in the world. Artificial, that is one tier 2 manufacturer that manufacture the capsule like an in-kind investment in the project. They manufacture normally for Airbus, for Boeing. You have Dark Group, is the biggest civil engineering firm in the Middle East, and companies, a lot of samples. And we always work with them in the same way. We identify what is important for them, what is the areas in his strategic planning in the future that they want to be involved in, and that they feel that they can add value to Hyperloop. And we start the collaboration from down to top, not from top to down. And we define the product, we define the part of the infrastructure of the technology that they are going to be our technological partner, and we develop it together with them. We have been awarded like Technology Pioneer by the World Economic Forum. And what is also very important to understand is that Hyperloop is happening now. It's not that it's something that will come in decades, Hyperloop is happening and will be here in years. So we have built the world's first full-scale Hyperloop system in Toulouse. It's our test and certification center. We are testing the technology. We finalized the integration of the vacuum system. We are integrating the propulsion and levitation system. And it's like a test bench of 320 meters, full scale, with a full scale capsule. Here you see a small video of the construction of course, is the first prototype of the capsule. It's a complete fuselage made with aerospace requirements, and made full in composite. 85% is on composite, and with sensors integrated with a technology that we developed that we call vibranium. Okay. So here you see more pictures of the capsule, pictures of the tube, the valves. Every 10 kilometers you have these valves. So if you have any problem in the system, you can close this section and you can repressurize in seconds. And the container that we developed with Label. Label is the inventor of the vacuum pump, is the ones that they did the vacuum system of the CERN, the Hadron Collider, and we work with them and we develop the whole technology with packetizing containers to make it easy to implement and easy to maintenance, and it's ready for production. And of course, when you are trying to advance in the technology, you cannot forget about regulation. So, and about safety requirements and things like that. So we work with Munich Re, that they did a complete risk assessment, because you can have a great technology, but if it is not insurable, you are not going to be able to sell it. So they make more than 1 year ago a public statement saying that the HyperloopTT technology will be insurable. We create the first certification guideline with TÜV Süd, and we have shared that with the Department of Transportation of US and with the European Commission. And it's been kind of like the first draft where we are now working all the Hyperloop companies, to define the final regulation. And, the Department of Transportation has recognized Hyperloop like a technology of the future. The European Parliament is asking the Commission to take seriously in consideration Hyperloop like an alternative to short-haul flights, and that's where we are. So here you see more pictures of the product. Okay. In addition to our work in passenger and our work in Toulouse, we have formed a joint venture with Hamburg Port, with HALA. They are one of the best consulting firms in terms of port operations, to create what we call Hyperport. What is Hyperport? Hyperport is the Hyperloop for containers, but it's also the interface between the Hyperloop and the port operations. Okay, It's a system that could be applied in every seaport or in every dry port or logistics center worldwide, with a full integration with the containers, the capsule, the tubes, and the crates. Okay, and here you see some of the. On this, we finalize the concept design. We finalize also all the commercial analysis of the solution, with an idea also to have a last mile. We call it last mile, but it's the last mile of the container, of course, you know, to be able to go also from the logistics center to the factories, or from the factories to the logistics center with an autonomous truck. And in addition to that project, we are also working in our commercial prototype in Abu Dhabi. What is Abu Dhabi about? Abu Dhabi is about showing to the world not only that the technology works, but works in a reliable way, works every day, can move the people, the CapEx, OpEx that we have in our business plan is what it is, the levels of availability of the infrastructure is what it is, and the levels, the ratios of maintenance, and all the things that are our assumptions. So here we are creating an advanced mobility center with a 5 kilometers. We have finalized the concept design, we are starting the detail engineering, and we hope to be able to break in ground next year. Here you see some of the center. You will see you have like the Oasis of Tomorrow. This is an area that is near the Expo. It's in the Abu Dhabi Emirate, but near the Expo. And of course, in addition to that, we need to progress toward commercialization. And one of the projects more important that we have right now is the project of Great Lakes. Is our first US route. Is the first feasibility study that has been made in US with support and with the interaction with the public sector, with a Department of Transportation. And this is important not just because they pay and they finance the study, but it's also important because that they guarantee, you know, the quality of the study with independent assessors, with people that, you know, that are completely independent. So all our findings has been reviewed by them, has been reviewed by the independent assessors and advisors, and also, and very important, we have gone through the process of the peers review. Here we have found very good findings. No, we have 3 possible routes to go from Chicago, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. At the end, probably the one that we will use is the blue one that you see there, the toll road road. And you know, again, we're talking about a system that could increase drastically the income, could increase the property value, could increase the and expand drastically the tax base in the area. But even more important of this, that is the social economical impact. And these are numbers that normally in normal infrastructure, land transportation infrastructure, you are going to have not the same numbers, but similar, or maybe less, but similar. The most important thing is that, again, this system could have a return of investment period of 25 years. So it could be fully funded by private money, by the same companies that can find it a toll road. Okay. Well, we have a global presence. No, we are not. We like to say that we are global. We have projects and interactions with different governments, different things. It's true that we are very focused on the 3 development projects: Toulouse, Abu Dhabi, and Hyperport, and on our commercial line in US. But we have had multiple interactions around the world. We have offices in US, our headquarters is in LA, we have office in Barcelona, our digital labs in Barcelona, we have our test center for certification in Toulouse, we've got an office here in the Middle East, so we are there. So the future is coming. You know, for the ones that think that Hyperloop is something that will come very, you know, in decades, no. The future is here, it's coming, will be here in decades. I cannot say today if we will be having our first commercial route in 2 years or in 5, but definitely will not be in decades, okay? And I would like to show a small inspirational video, you know, for the ones that, you know, to make us understand what is the power of humanity when we work together, okay?
Je m'appelle Henriette Ardois et j'habite à Bagnères-de-Buchon. Je suis l'une des femmes les plus âgées de France. J'ai peut-être un peu de compétition. Je suis née avant que les hommes se déplacent rapidement. Je me rappelle des premières voitures. J'ai assisté à la disparition d'hier, le mur du son, l'Américain qui a planté le drapeau sur la Lune. Tout ça, je l'ai vécu dans ma vie. On m'a dit qu'il y avait du nouveau bientôt, comme une nouvelle manière de parcourir la Terre. Et on vous emmène dans un tube à 1000 km/h en lévitation. Et ça marche avec l'énergie solaire. L'avion à l'époque aussi, c'était un grand défi. Je me rappelle de mon père. Cet engin ne va jamais décoller du sol. Cette machine, vous l'avez construite, n'est-ce pas? C'est quoi son nom déjà? HyperloopTT.
Well, thank you very much to everybody. It has been a real pleasure, being with you guys, and that's all.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Andres. This is very inspiring. So now we're going to move to a few questions. So I don't know if you see the questions on your end. I'm going to read it. So basically, one of our participants called Damien Lassalle says, it seems that the capsule can go faster than an airplane. Is there any impact on the human body?
Basically,
people, for instance.
Yeah. Should I answer to this one, for instance? Well, Damien, basically, the capsule, what affects to the human body is the acceleration, not the speed, okay? And basically, we try to keep the same acceleration that you've got in an airplane when you are taking off, so it's not like, and you are not in constant acceleration, of course, okay? So basically, it's, the sensation of riding an Hyperloop, it's not going to be like riding a roller coaster, okay? We have a mission profile that goes based on acceleration. Of course, you need also distance, to arrive to the maximum speed. And we try to have an experience very, very similar to the one that you have when you travel in a train or you travel in an airplane.
Excellent, excellent. And then, what's the ROI of the Hyperloop? So let me maybe scope the question. So if you look at, past crisis, after every crisis, there's sort of a new deal to create new jobs and so on. Do you guys have a sort of like algorithm in terms of, the ROI on job creation, return for the city, how much people it would attract for tourism and other things, So if you're a city leader and you're hearing this pitch today, what's your ROI on putting this together with you guys?
Well, okay, we don't have an algorithm. Well, we have a way of calculating, of course, like every time that you do an infrastructure, okay? But you need to do a feasibility study. So if you are in a city and you want to know how this is going to affect to your city, I would say that, the most important thing is to do a feasibility study, okay? To be serious. Okay, because every situation is completely different. Hyperloop, I'd say that address most of the situations, at least the ones that we have studied until now. Seriously, the pre-feasibilities and the feasibility studies has also give us very good numbers. Again, not only on the socio-economical impact, but also, and very important, in the financial viability of the project by itself. Because the first thing that has to be worried if you are the mayor of a city is how much money you are going to have to pay to subsidize your metro system, your rail system, and things like that. No, and that thing we try to put it out of the equation, okay, with the hyperloop. But also, of course, in the socio-economic impact. But the right answer to that is that you need to do feasibility studies to really analyze case by case, what is the impact of the hyperloop system.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Andres. So we have Nick Anderson, president of Keiretsu Forum for the Boston chapter. So one of the largest, most active business angel group on the planet. He seems very excited because he's asking, what do you need to help? What type of help you need to make this happen in the US?
Well, I think that we are analyzing also the possibility of the US. It's a complex regulatory environment, but we are advancing a lot with the Department of Transportation, and they have been very proactive in the last year, especially, and even during the pandemic time. I would say that the biggest challenge always is the same, no? For a startup like us, is the fundraising, no? We are in continuous fundraising mode, okay? And of course, that's always the biggest challenge, no? But, we are now in this process that we are raising the funds that we need, to be able to build the prototype. We definitely have also a very nice opportunity in the US for building a prototype there that we are analyzing seriously. But again, the biggest challenge is always fundraising.
Excellent. So in Boston, we have more than 90 VC firms. Nick Anderson is one of the business angel prominent here in Boston. So we'll see what we can do to help.
Okay, so happy to receive a mail or anything, and any contact, you can put him in contact with me, and happy to discuss about this opportunity. Okay.
Excellent. Any technological hurdles? So Boston is the place where we have MIT engineers. Any technological hurdles? A call to action to these engineers on the call today, and who's going to be rewatching the replay?
Well, we are in continuous improvement of the technology. Is when we say that we are ready to build the Hyperloop version 0, but we are continuously improving the technology and continuously working. Our chief engineering officer is an MIT guy, okay, by the way, okay, and we are continuously. We have been working with the MIT in some things, I think, in the past. I don't know exactly what projects, but I know that there has been some interactions there. But again, we are continuously in a continuous development of the next version of the technology, in all the areas.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to the next question. We're having quite a few here. So let's see. Do you have any idea of the environmental impact of such infrastructure? So you talked about it, that you guys are thinking about the environment when doing this, but what is the net impact? We're saving on pollution from the unclean energy, but then you're building a lot of infrastructure. So what's the thinking here?
Well, we have the numbers that I have shown before, that demonstrate that from the point of view of operation, Hyperloop is probably is going to be the most environmental friendly solution, okay? And it's going to reduce drastically. We have a data in the feasibility study, if I don't remember badly. I don't want to give a data because I don't remember exactly, but we reduce drastically the emissions, in the corridor. I think that is our biggest contribution, but of course that's not only what we are trying to do. We are trying also to analyze the possibility, especially in materials. We have been studying a lot about materials, about the possibility of having composite materials, that are based on natural resources, on the possibility of having a steel material for the tubes. That is a completely new technology that reduces also drastically carbon emissions. So we are trying to analyze all the value chain, to see where we can help. Okay, you cannot do everything, and sometimes you have some limitations, but sustainability is part of our core business from the beginning. We've got a sustainable team from the beginning, working in every area, and is one of the cross checks that any technology or any solution, need to pass, so we can take it seriously and we can think about implementing it in Hyperloop.
Excellent. We have a quick question from Nikhil Ray here. Is the technology different from maglev tech that is in Shanghai, China? You
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
you really need a capsule versus open maglev.
Yes, maglev is a great technology that has a huge problem, that is the consumption of energy. You need to electrify all the track, and that generates a lot of consumption of energy. In our case, we are using a technology that was developed in the 90s in Lawrence Livermore Lab by Richard Post and his team. Richard Post was one of our first contributors. We took the technology, we improved it, we solved some of the problems that they have, okay, and we adapted to the vacuum environment. And that technology allows you to levitate over a very simple aluminum track. You don't need to electrify the track. You have permanent magnets in a hallback array. You create an induced current, okay? And with that, you are able to levitate. And as more motion as you have, as more speed as you add, as easier is to levitate. Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Andres. So what is your vision of where the Hyperloop will be implemented first?
That's a very good question. I think that first could be the Middle East, that they are taking it very, very seriously. But I think that the huge opportunity of Hyperloop is US, US. At the end of the day, in Europe, for good or for bad, you've got all the high-speed rail network, okay, that works. Doesn't solve you the problem to go from Madrid to Paris, but you can go from Madrid to Barcelona quite well. You know what I mean? But in the US, that you don't have a good land transportation system, that is the biggest opportunity. And I really encourage every time that I'm in the US, that I have meetings with the officials to understand, that this can change drastically, the way you think on that country, the way you think in mobility in that country.
No, excellent, excellent. And then what is the energy consumption per seat compared to our Airbus A380, for instance?
Wow, that's a very technical question that, being completely honest, I don't know. I cannot answer today.
Okay.
I can try to answer later on, okay? And I'm sure that we have done comparisons, okay? But I don't have the answer today.
Okay, no worries. So Andres, what have you learned from bringing such exciting and inspiring innovation, a big leap innovation to market? What, 4 years roughly you've been working on this, right?
Yeah.
A bit more.
5
So what
years.
have you learned? What have you learned, and what are the hurdles? What keeps you up at night? And how can everyone help you guys, be more successful and accelerate? Because we want this, we want Hyperloop. So what can we do?
Okay. So first of all, what I have learned that this is a marathon. This is not a 100 meters race. Okay. This is a marathon. And you need to have people around you that is resilient, and that they understand that in a marathon, like always, you've got great moments and you've got bad moments, and you need to come back and all of that. And every day you do like this, but you grow, and you are closer and closer and closer. But it's a marathon. Needs resilience, needs very big work ethics, and also needs passion. Okay, so that's really, 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 really important. Other thing that I have learned is that there is nothing more powerful than radical collaboration. No, the idea of collaborate. How can you collaborate with companies that at the beginning, sometimes you could think, oh, this could be a competitor. No, but you collaborate with them, and then you find ways. You always find ways to collaborate if you are open-minded enough to see how do you align the commercial interests of one company the other time. And of course, the collaboration of our individual contributors. How can you help? Well, I think that there is a big responsibility in the people that is in the financial world to help, to really, really help to this impact ideas. I'm very critical with this, sorry about it, but you heard a lot about impact funds, you heard a lot about how all the companies needs to invest in sustainable solutions and all of that. But I think that at the end of the day, when you arrive to the reality of the market and the truth of the market, there is not so many people that has the guts or the interest or the capacity to really invest thinking in the medium and long term. Okay, so I think that we need to create this environment of companies, financial institutions, venture capital, to think a little bit more on the long term. You know, not all the projects can be, I go there, I finance, in 3 years, I go out. No, we need long-term vision funding. And that, I think, that is a change in the ecosystem that needs to happen, still needs to happen.
Excellent, Andres. Thank you very much for this. So we're also on the marathon today. Maybe final question. How does it help in Boston? We have high rent because, you know, the city attracts a lot of people. So basically, how does the Hyperloop also help maybe, you know, spread the population? And is that also one of the value proposition you're putting forward in terms of helping, you know, with rent increase and so on?
Definitely, because at the end of the day, thinking Silicon Valley, thinking Boston, thinking in the middle of New York, you know, areas where renting is very, very expensive. And also the quality of life of the mega cities is decreasing, you know, the quality of life of this. We are talking about Boston, but imagine Rio de Janeiro, that is crazy, you know. So yes, that's one of the big value propositions for the commuting solution, you know, having small cities 300 kilometers away, in a very nice environment in the middle of the countryside, and still you can be in 20 minutes in your office working every day.
Excellent.
That's a very interesting value proposition of our system too.
Excellent, Andres. So, you know, congratulations and good luck with the rest. We're here to help also here in Boston. We'll diffuse the message and we'll look forward to connecting soon again. Thank you for participating.
Thank you very much, Alistair. It has been a pleasure, and thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Andres. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.